Every morning, you are faced with a choice. Wake up with purpose or surrender to the chaos. One path leads to strength, clarity, and unshakable focus. The other, to distraction, weakness, and regret. The Stoics knew that victory in life begins with the first hour of the day. Today, I'll share 11 morning rituals rooted in their wisdom that will not only transform how you start your mornings, but how you live your life. And if you can master even a few of them, you will become unstoppable in a world that constantly tries to break your focus. Number 1, define your purpose before the world distracts you. The moment you open your eyes, the world is already reaching for you. It's in the soft glow of your phone screen, in the silent pull of notifications, in the thoughts racing through your mind before you've even taken your first breath of the morning air. If you don't take control in those first few minutes, the day will take control of you. The Stoics understood this better than anyone. They believed that purpose is the anchor of the soul, and without it, you drift, carried away by whatever currents the day throws at you. Marcus Aurelius began each morning, not with coffee, not with conversation, but with reflection. He would remind himself of who he was, what he stood for, and the role he had to fulfill, not as an emperor, but as a human being striving for virtue. When you wake up before the chaos of the world has a chance to pour in, you must claim that sacred moment for yourself. Sit in silence, feel the weight of the morning, and ask yourself, what do I stand for today? Who do I want to be when this day ends? It doesn't have to be a paragraph. In fact, it's more powerful if it's a single sentence, something sharp enough to cut through the noise. It could be, today I will act with courage. Today I will build, not destroy. Today I will choose discipline over comfort. Write it down, say it out loud, let it settle in your mind. This is your compass, your quiet declaration of war against distraction, mediocrity, and aimlessness. Because here's the truth. If you don't decide what your day will mean, someone else will decide for you. And their plan will never be in your favor. The man who defines his purpose in the morning does not move through the day as prey. He moves through it as a hunter, calm, precise, and certain of his aim. And in a world drowning in noise, that clarity becomes your greatest weapon. Number 2, prepare for victory the night before. Most people think their morning begins when they wake up. The Stoics would disagree. Your morning begins the night before, when the rest of the world is winding down, and you decide whether to set the stage for success or chaos. Marcus Aurelius wrote that the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. The thoughts you fall asleep with, the environment you leave behind, and the final actions you take before closing your eyes. These are the seeds of the day to come. Plant them with care. If you spend your nights scrolling endlessly, watching meaningless noise, or drifting aimlessly from distraction to distraction, you've already surrendered tomorrow before it's begun. You will wake heavy, unfocused, and unprepared. But if you treat your evening with intention, sharpening your tools, clearing your space, and calming your mind, you send a signal to yourself. I will not stumble into tomorrow. I will enter it with strength. This can be as simple as writing down the 3 most important things you must accomplish the next day, laying out what you will wear, placing your journal or book where you'll see it first thing, preparing your space so that the morning feels like a fresh canvas, not a battlefield you must clean before you can fight. Even more important is preparing your mind. Step away from screens at least an hour before bed. Let your thoughts settle. Reflect on the day without judgment, only observation, gratitude for what was good, acceptance of what you could not control, clarity on what you will improve tomorrow. Think of this as building your fortress before night falls, because when the sun rises, the enemy, distraction, temptation, and aimlessness will attack, and the man who has fortified himself the night before will stand unshaken. Tomorrow's victory is not won in the morning. It is earned in the quiet, deliberate hours of the night. Number 3, guard the first hour from distraction. The first hour of your day is not just a block of time. It is the foundation upon which the rest of your life is built. What you allow into that hour will either strengthen the structure of your day or crack it beyond repair before it's even begun. Think about what most people do the moment they wake up. Their hand reaches automatically for the phone. Their eyes meet a glowing screen before they meet the light of the morning sun. And within seconds, they are pulled into a flood of noise, messages, news, updates, and demands. Without realizing it, they have surrendered the keys to their mind before they have even left their bed. The Stoics would see this as a tragedy, not because the world is evil, but because the man has given away his most precious asset, the sovereignty of his own mind. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all understood that the first moments of the day were a sacred territory, one that must be fiercely defended. This was the time to decide how you would meet the world, not the time to let the world decide for you. So here is the law. For the first 60 minutes after waking, your mind is off limits to anything that pulls you into reaction mode. No social media, no news cycles, no email inbox, nothing that puts you on the defensive before you have even chosen your direction. Instead, this time must be used to fortify yourself. It might be reading a passage from the ancient philosophers to arm your mind with wisdom. It might be journaling, sharpening your clarity and focus before the day's battles. It might be meditation or prayer, anchoring your spirit before you step into the noise. Or it could be something as simple as sipping a warm cup of coffee in silence, letting your thoughts gather like soldiers preparing for war. Because make no mistake, the day ahead will be a battle. Distractions will come at you, disguised as opportunities. Petty irritations will try to pull you off course. The unexpected will knock at your door. And if you've already allowed chaos into your mind during the first hour, you'll be fighting from a position of weakness. But if you guard that time, if you treat it as a king guards his throne, something changes. You walk into the day not as prey, but as the hunter, not chasing the approval of others, but moving toward a target you chose with intention. So tomorrow morning, ask yourself, will I protect my first hour, or will I sell it for the cheap price of distraction? One choice builds the man you want to become. The other destroys him before the day has even begun. Number 4, rise at the same time, every morning. Discipline is the invisible thread that holds a man's life together. Without it, intentions crumble, opportunities slip away, and days dissolve into nothingness. The Stoics knew this truth well, and they practiced it in ways so simple, yet so unshakable, that they became the bedrock of their power. One of these practices was this: rise at the same time every single morning. It sounds small, almost insignificant, but do not be fooled. This single act trains your mind to obey your will. It tells your body that comfort is not your master, and it proves day after day that you, not chance, not mood, not laziness, decide when your life begins. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "At dawn, when you rise unwillingly, have this thought: I am rising to the work of a human being." He understood that the morning was not a negotiation. It was a summons. To delay it was to deny life itself. The moment the first lights touched the horizon, his duty began, and he rose to meet it. When you wake at the same time every day, you are not just starting your morning. You are setting the terms of your existence. You are saying, "I do not drift. I do not wait for motivation. I act because it is my nature to act." At first, it will be hard. The comfort of your bed will feel like a trap you do not wish to escape. Your mind will whisper 1,000 justifications. You need more rest. You can start tomorrow. One late morning won't matter. But each time you listen to that voice, you weaken the bond between your word and your action. And when that bond breaks, so does the man. This is why the Stoics value the discipline of rising so highly. It is not about the hour on the clock. It is about the promise kept. It is about building an identity that says, "When I decide, I follow through." And when you can trust yourself in something as small as the hour you rise, you can trust yourself in the greater battles of life. To make this a reality, set your environment to serve your mission. Place your alarm across the room so that you must stand to silence it. Leave your curtains slightly open so the first light of day greets you. Go to bed with intention, not as an escape, but as preparation for the next victory. Because here is the truth: every morning you rise on time, you are not just waking up, you are declaring war on the part of you that seeks weakness, delay, and comfort. And each time you win, you carve yourself into a sharper, stronger, more unshakable man. A man who does not command the moment his eyes open will struggle to command anything else. So make your first command of the day a simple one. Rise, without hesitation, without negotiation. Number 5, show yourself mercy without losing your edge. Discipline is the forge where a man's character is shaped, but even the strongest steel will shatter if it is struck without pause, without heat, without care. The Stoics knew that strength was not only found in relentless forward motion, it was found in the wisdom to balance firmness with understanding. There will be mornings when your alarm feels heavier than iron, when your body aches from yesterday's demands, when your mind is clouded with the weight of restless thoughts. In those moments, many men fall into one of two extremes. They either crush themselves under the hammer of self-condemnation, or they abandon discipline entirely under the false banner of self-care. Both paths are dangerous. One burns you out until you can no longer move forward. The other dulls your edge until there is no sharpness left. The Stoic way is different. It is the narrow and difficult road between weakness and self-punishment. Marcus Aurelius himself admitted his own failings in his meditations, but he did not linger in shame. He did not allow failure to define him. He acknowledged the slip, understood its cause, and immediately turned back toward the path. This is the art of self-mercy without losing your edge. It requires brutal honesty with yourself, seeing clearly when you have fallen short without dressing it in excuses. But it also requires patience, recognizing that no man, no matter how disciplined, wins every battle. When you miss a morning, you have a choice. You can carry guilt with you like a chain, letting it weigh you down until you stop trying. Or you can study the failure like a soldier studies a lost battle. Was your preparation weak? Did you go to war against the morning without rest? Or did comfort simply speak louder than your conviction? Once you know the cause, you adapt. You fortify the weakness. You return to the fight the very next morning, without hesitation, without negotiation. Understand this: mercy towards yourself is not softness. It is a strategy for longevity. A man who cannot forgive himself will eventually collapse under the weight of his own expectations. A man who forgives too easily will never build the strength he seeks. The Stoic lives in the tension between these two truths, and it is there that resilience is born. So when the morning defeats you, do not declare the day lost. Reset, recenter, and commit right then that tomorrow will be different. You will rise earlier, sharper, with more resolve, because the Stoic's worth is not measured by whether he never falls, but by how quickly and firmly he stands again. Discipline is not perfection, it is persistence. The man who keeps coming back again and again is the man who cannot be broken. Number 6, master discipline in the smallest things. A man's greatness is not forged in the rare moments when the world is watching. It is forged in the countless unseen choices he makes when no one is there to applaud, to judge, or to take note. The Stoics knew this better than anyone. They understood that life's defining victories are rarely won on the battlefield. They are won in the quiet, private spaces of the mind and in the smallest, most ordinary actions of daily life. Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." But self-mastery is not built on grand speeches or isolated bursts of effort. It is built in the moments when you could choose the easy path and you refuse. When you place your alarm clock across the room so you have to rise to silence it, you are not simply making it harder to sleep in. You are telling your body, "I am the one who decides." When you make your bed immediately upon waking, you are not just arranging sheets and pillows. You are starting your day with order, telling your mind that chaos will have no place here. When you take 30 seconds to fold your clothes neatly, rather than tossing them aside, you are declaring that sloppiness will not govern your environment or your character. These may seem like nothing. They may seem beneath the weight of a disciplined life. But that is exactly why they are so powerful. Because they prove that if you will not compromise on the little things, you are far less likely to compromise on the big ones. The world is full of men who talk about discipline, but ignore the details. They want to win great victories without building the habits that make victory possible. The Stoic sees this as foolishness, because the way you do anything is the way you do everything. If you approach the smallest task with care, patience, and precision, you will approach the greatest challenges the same way. Marcus Aurelius would have called these the acts that train the soul. They are your daily drills, small, repetitive, and unglamorous, but they shape you into a man who acts with purpose, who honors his word, who does not leave things half-finished. And here's the truth: every small act of discipline is not just a habit, it is a declaration, a vote cast for the man you intend to become. Each time you choose order over chaos, focus over distraction, follow through over neglect, you are sharpening your will like a blade. And a sharp will can cut through anything: fear, temptation, resistance. So do not overlook the small. Guard it, practice it, perfect it. Because in the end, greatness is not something you rise to in a single moment. It is something you rise to every morning, in the smallest acts, done well, and done always. Number 7. Build an alliance for your discipline. The Stoics valued self-mastery above all, but they also understood that no man is an island. Even the strongest mind can falter in isolation. That is why the wise seek allies, not allies to fight their battles for them, but allies to stand beside them, to sharpen their edge, to keep them walking the path when the weight of the world presses in. Seneca wrote often about the power of example, the influence of surrounding yourself with those whose virtues you admire. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor, sought counsel from men who would tell him the truth, not what he wanted to hear. Epictetus taught his students to walk with those who lifted them higher, for the company you keep will shape the man you become. In your mornings, this principle is just as powerful. An accountability partner is more than someone who checks whether you woke up on time. It is someone who stands as a mirror, reflecting both your discipline and your lapses without distortion. When your resolve weakens, they remind you of your mission. When you are tempted to drift, they anchor you, and in return, you do the same for them. This bond works because it removes the false comfort of secrecy. It's easy to betray your own word when only you know you've broken it. But when another man knows your goals, your struggles, and your promises, there is weight in keeping them. Your discipline is no longer a private wish. It becomes a public oath. Choose your ally with care. They must share your hunger for growth, your respect for truth, and your refusal to accept mediocrity. This is not about praise. It is about honesty. At times, they will challenge you. At times, they will confront you. And that is exactly why you need them. When you rise early, when you keep your commitments, you are not just proving it to yourself. You are proving it to someone who will hold you to the standard you have set. And when the day comes, when they are the one struggling, your voice will be the one that keeps them from falling. The Stoics knew that virtue grows stronger when shared. The same is true of discipline. Two men walking the same path will always travel farther than one walking alone. Find your ally, build the alliance, and together, rise. Number 8, remember death each morning. There is one truth that no man can escape. Though most spend their lives pretending it isn't there, you will die. To the unprepared mind, this thought is heavy, dark, unwelcome. It feels like a shadow, best kept hidden. But the Stoics saw it differently. They looked at death, not as an intruder to be feared, but as a teacher to be listened to each day. Marcus Aurelius began his mornings with this thought, not to feel despair, but to strip away the illusions that waste our time. He understood that when you see the end clearly, you finally understand the value of the time you have left. Memento Mori, remember you must die, is not meant to be morbid. It is meant to set you free, to wake you from the sleep of distraction, to force you to see the truth you keep postponing. Your time is limited. When you open your eyes in the morning, pause. Feel the rhythm of your breath. Hear the silence before the day begins. Then acknowledge the truth. This day was not promised to me. It could be my last. Let that thought sink in, not to frighten you, but to clarify everything. Because if this were truly your final day, the trivial concerns that steal your attention would vanish instantly. You wouldn't waste hours scrolling through meaningless noise. You wouldn't delay important conversations. You wouldn't let fear stop you from taking the step you've been avoiding. The Stoics knew that death gives life its edge. Without it, there is no urgency. Without urgency, there is no reason to act today instead of tomorrow. And tomorrow is the most dangerous word in the world, because one day it will never come. By remembering death, you remember how to live. You remember to look the people you love in the eyes and actually see them. You remember to give your full attention to the work that matters. You remember to move with purpose instead of drifting through the hours like they will never run out. And something else happens. Fear begins to lose its grip on you. The man who accepts that death is inevitable no longer wastes his energy resisting it. He no longer clings desperately to comfort, safety, or approval. He understands that the only thing he truly controls is how he lives right now, in this day, in this moment. So tomorrow, when you wake, carry this thought with you. If this were my last sunrise, how would I spend it? If you can answer that question honestly and live it, the day will not be wasted. And when the end does come, it will find you unafraid, because you will know you truly lived. Memento Mori is not about fearing death. It is about fearing the possibility of never truly living before it comes. Number 9, practice negative visualization. Most men wake in the morning with the same fragile hope that the day will be easy, that comfort will outweigh challenge, that nothing will disturb their plans. But the Stoics knew this was a dangerous illusion. Life does not bow to your expectations. It bends for no man. And if you are not prepared for hardship, hardship will break you. So they practice something rare, something the modern world often misunderstands. Negative visualization, the deliberate act of imagining loss, failure, and difficulty before it happens. To the untrained mind, it sounds grim, even depressing. Why would I think about bad things before they come? But to the Stoic, this is not a surrender to fear. It is a path to strength, because the enemy you see coming is far less dangerous than the one you never considered. Seneca wrote, "The man who has anticipated the coming of troubles takes away their power when they arrive." This was not a metaphor. It was a discipline. Each morning they would reflect, "Today I may be betrayed. Today I may face loss. Today I may meet death." Not to wallow in dread, but to rehearse their mind's response, calm, deliberate, and unmoved. When you sit in the stillness of morning, try this. Close your eyes and walk through your day ahead. Imagine the obstacles, the delay in traffic that threatens your patience, the conversation that could spark anger, the moment something you rely on breaks, even the loss of someone you love. See it, not vaguely, but vividly. Feel the discomfort, the sting, the weight. Then, visualize your response, not the reaction of a man ruled by impulse, but the action of a man who governs himself. Picture yourself breathing slowly instead of snapping in anger, accepting what you cannot control instead of cursing fate, acting with courage instead of hiding in fear. And something remarkable happens when those challenges actually come, and they will. You will not be caught off guard. You will have already walked that path in your mind. You will meet it not with panic, but with practiced composure. There is another gift in this exercise, one the Stoics prize deeply: By imagining the loss of what you cherish, you learn to value it more fiercely while you still have it. The sound of your child's laughter, the presence of your partner, the strength in your body, the roof over your head, each becomes brighter, sharper, more precious, because you have already imagined the day it might be gone. This is not a dark way to live. It is the most alive you can be. Because when you know that everything can be taken, you stop wasting the time you have with it. So tomorrow morning, before the noise begins, ask yourself, if I lost this today, how would I face it? And while I still have it, how will I honor it? The man who asks these questions each day is a man who walks through life, prepared, grateful, and unshakable. Number 10, end the day with gratitude. A Stoic morning begins long before sunrise, and it does not truly end until you close your eyes at night. How you finish the day shapes how you meet the next one. And there is no better way to close the day than with the quiet strength of gratitude. Gratitude is not a soft, sentimental feeling. It is a weapon against dissatisfaction, envy, and restlessness. The Stoics understood that a man who constantly focuses on what is missing will never be at peace, no matter how much he gains. But a man who recognizes the value of what he already has becomes unshakable, because nothing the world takes from him can erase what he has already appreciated deeply. Seneca wrote, "He is most powerful who has power over himself." Gratitude gives you that power because it changes your relationship with life itself. When you are grateful, you are no longer chasing endlessly. You are no longer a slave to the next possession, the next victory, the next recognition. You see the worth in the ground you already stand on. Each night, before you sleep, take a few minutes to reflect. It can be in a journal or simply in the stillness of your mind. Recall 3 things from the day you are thankful for. They do not have to be grand or dramatic. The warmth of the sun on your face, a conversation that made you smile, the discipline you showed in a small task. Do not rush this. Let each one sink in. Feel it, see it, hold it for a moment before moving on. The goal is not to fill a list. The goal is to remind your mind that the day was not wasted, that even if it brought hardship, it also carried gifts. And here is the deeper truth. When you end the day with gratitude, you prime your mind to wake with clarity. You carry less resentment into the morning, less noise, less bitterness. You wake ready to face the day as a man who sees clearly, not a man blinded by what he thinks is missing. This is not about ignoring problems. It is about refusing to let them blind you to the blessings that exist alongside them. The Stoics knew that a mind trained in gratitude is a mind that cannot be broken by circumstance. So tonight, before you let the darkness take you, take inventory of what you have. Appreciate it without fear of losing it, without comparison to what others hold. Because when you can truly be grateful for what you have now, you become ready to use it fully tomorrow. A man who ends his day with gratitude never wakes poor, no matter what the world takes from him. Number 11, begin each day with deliberate action. A morning without intention is like a ship leaving harbor without a compass. It may move, but it will never arrive anywhere worth reaching. The Stoics understood this deeply. The way you start your day is not about motion. It's about direction. Too many men wake, drift through the first hours in distraction, and then wonder why their lives feel stagnant. They confuse activity with progress. The Stoics rejected this. Marcus Aurelius, even as emperor, began each day with a clear understanding of what must be done, not what might be done, not what he felt like doing, but what was essential. Deliberate action means your first steps in the morning are chosen, not stumbled into. Before you check messages, before you react to the world, you take control. This could mean opening your journal and writing down your priorities for the day. It could mean beginning with a short session of focused movement or breath work to awaken your mind and body. It could mean tackling the single most important task you have before anything else steals your attention. The act itself matters less than the fact that it is intentional, because in that moment, you prove to yourself that you are not a passenger in your own life. You are at the helm. And once you begin with purpose, the rest of the day tends to follow its lead. Deliberate action is also a shield. When you start the day with clarity, distractions lose much of their power. The noise of the world may knock at your door, but you have already declared your priorities. You are anchored. The Stoics would say, this is living in agreement with nature, not nature as in forests and rivers, but the nature of your own being. A man's nature is to act with reason, to move with purpose, to live as if each day matters, because it does. So tomorrow morning, ask yourself, what is the first thing I will do to prove that today belongs to me? Then do it immediately. No delay, no hesitation. Because the man who controls his first move controls the flow of the entire day. And when you string together enough days like this, days that begin with clarity, focus, and strength, you will look back and realize that you have not just mastered your mornings. You have mastered your life. Each of these 11 practices is a choice, not a theory, not an idea. A choice you either make or you don't, every single morning. The Stoics understood that greatness was never built in one defining moment. It was built in the quiet repetition of deliberate actions, performed day after day until they became part of who you are. They knew that the man who wins his morning does not just start the day ahead, he starts life ahead. You can ignore these principles. You can wake each day like most men do, reactive, distracted, moving without purpose, and watch as the years slip through your hands. Or you can rise each morning as if it were your last. Meet it with focus and discipline, and use it as a forge to shape the man you want to become. Tomorrow will come, but it is not promised. And when it does, the question will not be, what do I have time for today? It will be, what kind of man will I be today? The answer begins the moment you open your eyes. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to our channel for more Stoic wisdom. See you in the next video.